here that drove 4 hours to be here, so I am honored. I'm honored to receive you with this talk that I've been doing in many places, and I feel like a mission to do. It's like some discernments that I earned along the way, and I feel like sharing. So thank you for coming and listen what I have to say. Listen to what I have to say. Sorry if I have some grammar things. I think the intention is really important. I'm Santiago Rafael. I am from Argentina. As appears in the invitation to here, I'm master in Akashic Records. That's what I do mainly. I was coach before, but I am still coach. That doesn't go away. But before I mainly use coaching and cellular memory therapist. So I've been therapist for more than 5 years. And my story to arrive there, it was like, I tell it like it's for survival. I suddenly woke up. I saw like, it was like a abrupt awakening, because I was like going in a downward spiral. Like I was like depressed with obesity. Imagine me weighing more than 100 kilos, like obesity, arthritis, psoriasis, addictions to video games, to party, alcohol, like many addictions that were like also taking me to a sedentary life. Well, that condition. So it was like I went really numb in my life, like all sensorial numb, and I felt like really dead alive, like a zombie, you know, like. Well, I saw dancers one day, and I had like a synapsis, like I was in a hip hop party, like hip hop jam, you know, like it was cool. Like that was my only contact with art, you know, and I also played the guitar. There was a movement that this dancer did that made me listen to a sound that I was not listening before. So it was like, wow, this was what has just happened, and it's like. And I realized now that it was like my first synesthesia moment, you know, like when the senses converge. There's many senses that converge, that's called synesthesia. Synesthesia, yeah? Well, so I followed that dancer. And connecting with dancers, getting into the realm of dancers, got me into spirituality. And there was like the sister of my house dance teacher, just came from India. And there was like this mystical vibe around her, and she told me, you need like a session. She approached, I don't remember really well that sequence, but it was like, okay, I will do the session because I am like feeling different, like there's something different. I did a session, and from that moment, I was like a mixed technique session. I think there's like in the healing sessions, there's like more as a compatibility, being the match and the right moment that makes the trigger, that goes beyond the technique. That's something that I believe. It's like the vibe that matches. So from that moment, I started seeing like many colors, shapes, and things with my eyes closed all the time. It was like, wow, I've been missing out of this like for a long time. I thought I was like watching dark, pitch dark, but no. There is so many words, like things that were beyond the logic of the mind. That's why I still to this day I remember those visions, and I wasn't on any drug. Like I wasn't on any drug. It was like 3 in the afternoon in a bed, in a mattress, you know, like a. So from that moment, I had to understand how to survive in here with watching all of things, because it was like, just for example, I blinked and there was a dragon coming, like something like that, and it was like, I don't know if I want to blink again because I don't know what is going to see, what's going to happen. So that's why I say that my awakening was in a fast moment, but the growth was more for a matter of survival. There's a saying that said, if you're looking for enlightenment, you must look for it as some man that is with his head burning, head on fire. Like this guy with the head on fire is looking for a pond. I'm translating on the moment. Yeah. From the same thing I heard in Spanish to English in this moment. So this is the thing I can relate. Like I had like to look for it, and one gets lost in the way. One gets like, I've been watching.
With the same, did you mean you need a teacher, a guru, or a mentor?
Many. It's like all the information. I became an infowar. I started to like eating all the information, all the sources possible that we sounded. Like there were like, we have a window of a certain amount of things we can process in the sequence, at least in the 3D. We have like to choose, so everything that fitted in there. I was like all the time looking for tools like cellular memory and in English is NLP, emotional intelligence, all the tools of coaching, like understanding myself, like understanding why I'm seeing extraterrestrials and who they are, for example. Like, are they memories? Are they talking to me? It's like learning all that stuff. All like those dynamics, or watching angels, or auras, I needed to understand what was happening. Right? The colors of the auras, chromotherapy, the stones, why I suddenly felt like the stone or the wood, like is telling me something, or the trees, you know, so it was like really crazy for, like, looked crazy for the normal society. But then I started like in research for more groups or mentors or masters. I understood there are like communities where you can be understood as well at a certain level of consciousness. Then you transcend it and you keep going, and it's like that weaving that goes on the personal evolution. So that so far is how I got here. I don't know if the introduction is like so long. Let me check. Yeah, 9 minutes. Well, what I want to share are some tools that in this path I got and help a lot of persons that I train, like channelers, and I train like many healers that are confused in their lives as well, that are things that are not so easy to understand. And most of the persons don't have the time to really get into them. And I really believe that we are in an age that we are more collaborative. It's like this thing of no, just like sing so I don't sing, like this thing of I am withholding information so you don't arrive my level, that's gone. It's like we are helping because I really believe we are building a synergy. And a synergy. Instead of a hierarchy, we are getting to hierarchy with synergy. So it's like a synergy as nature works. So that's like aligning with how the nature is working. So that's why I really believe in sharing these cognitive assets, these distinctions, for helping each other's work, each other's interface and experience of life. Because that's what changed for me. It's not just something to do something, it's a way of being. So it's ontology. That's like, when I see ontological coaches, it's like they fall really short on what the definition of ontology is. Onto, being, logic, and that understanding of the being. What about the multidimensional being? There are coaches like, what? Yes, we have the definitions of, well, okay, the physical body, the emotional, the mental, and we get like from above to here, and it's like, okay, there's something that is coming that, okay. Actually, in fact, I like being under the light. I have Leo Moon in my astrology chart, so it's the kind of, I like this. For you want to understand the astrology. Those are useful languages. Like, for example, astrology, the symbolism like tarot. Those codes are really useful for having higher understanding of these other dimensions. Like, there are things that will help our framework to have a broader catching of what are these higher planes. So when we have more resources, like the ones we are sharing here, and the ones that are already in the collective, like astrology and you know, like tarot and the symbols, like the runes. There are many things that are sacred geometry that is there, that triggers and makes a synapses between the higher mind and ours, the lower mind, let's say. We need to see things like higher, lower, because we have to order them, right? So that's how I am sharing as well some things that, even that they are overlapping, in the 3D we have to share it on the sequence. So I have a sequence that I want to share. Here I get into the sequence, okay? How are you feeling so far? Yes?
Yeah.
You like the music?
Yeah.
Yes, it's inspirational. I usually get like, whenever I'm going to do an inspirational video, it's like, the music is going to help me like surf it. Okay, here we go. Ludovico Einaudi, if you want to look for him. He's a great pianist. Here we are. Okay, we start. Have you heard of this research? Like this research defines the intuition. There's like many researchers at Forbes did, and intuition as the highest kind of intelligence there is. That's why the talk is called Intuition, Spiritual Intelligence. Because it's a kind of intelligence. And in initiatic paths, I have a mentor that goes a lot to the etymologies of words. Why are we saying? What is the root of what we are saying? Because it's like, it shaped the word as is now. So I really got into that thing of looking at etymologies. I look for intelligence in the different like NLP or things, emotional intelligence courses. They define, there are two main definitions. Is interligie from the Greek. Have you heard the etymology, interligie? Yes, here we are. too much inspiration. More serious. Interligie. Inter, in between, ligie, lines. In between lines. So the capacity to read in between lines made this intelligence. And there was another university that gave me the intellecto, that there was no distinction in a line or an election. Lectern, because if you see it, you could choose it. Like that was the framework from where they thought. If you could see it, you could choose it. So mixing up those both, I really see this reality as a matrix. You know, like the Matrix, the movie, that there are codes coming like that. So there's like a lot of data going around, and we have the possibility of choosing, reading between those lines. So that, by definition, is like intelligence, being able to read between that. But I went a little bit further. That was like normal thing for coaches and everything. And I found this Project Venus. Have you heard of Project Venus? It's by Jacques Fresco. And I love the definition. I totally recommend the Project Venus because if you lose some time faith in humanity, this is like a great place that he's proposing we can go. And this visionary, Jacques Fresco, defines the intelligence as the capacity to perceive relevant information. And what makes the difference is relevant, and we'll underline relevant information because that's what really makes the difference of. It's not just watching or reading. How are we choosing the information? What's the pyramid of relevance? Yes.
So is that so that we choose, each individual chooses their own reality? So when you actually, at a certain point, you receive, and then you choose that different reality.
There's like a gap between the choosing the information that comes and the reality. We are going to see that because that's part of the dynamic. I made a graphic of that. Essentially, that is a process that happens previous to what we choose. It's like the first layer of how we are getting information in. Then how we process, and the output starts feeding the reality that starts surrounding us. So that's the kind of the gap between this. It would be in the psychobiology is known as the reticular activating system. So the reticular activating system is like the Google engine, how we are looking for things that we are defining that is relevant. I want to know about this. So that sets like, okay, I want to know about this, so feed me on this. And then how we process starts, how we can output it, like express it, and feed the realities and feed our consciousness to keep building. It's the full process that I'm going to show today. Great, thank you for bringing that up because it's like you made me leap to the. No problem. Everyone, okay? It's useful so far? Yes? Have you heard of these terms before? Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes, excellent. Well, I wanted to share this because it's like, it's getting big in intuition. It's like, it's being a essential asset. It's like a skill. It's not all intuitive persons. It's like you can train intuition. I was like really a zombie until like 7-8 years ago. I was like a zombie. Like you would like would see me like in a fast food place right now. Like Yes, I want to go to this place. Okay. That's why there's like different kinds of receiving this information. There are different ways of, because there's like the misunderstanding that intuitive persons are psychic readers and mainly clairvoyant, you know? Like, I see things, I am seeing, like the fortune teller, like that's like really embedded culturally, like the crystal ball, and they are seeing things in there. There are many ways of sensing, because it comes through the senses. What is real comes through all the bodies, and it becomes like even physical, like we can perceive it in any of our senses. So there's clairvoyance, is the ability to see things, like it happened to me when I close the eyes that I see things, or auras or sparkles in sudden sparks. Have you ever, anyone saw sparks? Yes? Yeah, there we go. Auras, there we are. There are times that we listen. There's people that listen to voices, and that doesn't happen to me. I listen them inside with some certain feelings, but I don't listen. But there's persons that I initiated that have this problem, like, well, I will bring this story now. On the clairaudience, I have like a person I initiated in New York, and she says like, okay, when I am like communicating with my guides, or I am like trying to make a decision, I hear many voices, like, should I do this? Yes, go, but da da da, and the other voice, and there are like many voices at the same time, and they are like not in agreement. So when she initiated, she opened records and get the audition like this. Okay. She was waiting for the other voices, and they didn't come. So that makes the difference of one of the topics that today we are speaking, like how the extrasensorial perception can be negative or positive or useful. So before, like if you have many voices like talking at the same time, they are like kind of sabotaging. It's like, do I go? But stop and go. Like, do I go or no? So it's like negative extrasensorial perception. That because it's like taking a toll, like the stopping and going, like this, like having a discussions inside the head. Or another thing is like, just now that we are in the negative extrasensorial perception, it's like, okay, which elevator should I take? Like if you want to do a little test of intuition, like which elevator should I take? This one. And you didn't check them. That's stacked, you lost all the day, and you want to comfort yourself like, oh, everything happens because it should happen, it's perfect. No, sometimes it's like there was another optimal pathway, another timeline, optimal timeline. But we didn't have checking filters. We didn't have filter checkings because we have some biases internally that are working that may appear as that certainty. So it's like, oh, trust my gut feeling. Yes, but the gut is full of bacteria that they have their own intentions. So that's really important to acknowledge. Like, trust your gut, yes, but they have intentions too. So you're like, for not being ruled by all those voices or the impulsive things, we need certain clear terms, like an intelligent structure to perceive this. So that's the main, what I main encourage in this is working on self-knowledge. It's like, we as oracles, like, we have to respect what says in the Oracle of Delphos. It's like, know yourself, know thyself. That's it. It's like, if we don't have that self-knowledge, we may be biased or not using the extrasensorial perception properly. Another case that is more extreme on the extrasensorial perception is when we are involving another person, like for example readers. Like they are just telling things from the position of authority that the reading gives you, and you just may be broadcasting from not a higher place.
Yeah.
And you may be deviating persons. So that generates a karma. That generates karma if you misguide. And they take it lightly. Because it's like, one of the layers is the ego boost. It's like, you see, I was right. I was right. I like the feeling of being right is one of the main ego builders, that is having reason, or the cognitive bias of confirmation. So that affects the whole chain. Like that bias affects how I look information to be right. You know, like, for example, to bring it more like pragmatically, if I think that this person is like, oh, this person, I'm sure he's goofy, and he's just do whatever, and see, I told you, he was goofy. So we are going to look all the information that is relevant to prove what we are thinking. For example, if we don't check our biases. For example, if we don't know ourselves and know that we have those biases. So that's my main encouragement here, like self-knowledge, self-inquiry, self-awareness. Like that's my main call to action here. I will come back to it, but I want to tell you. Yes?
Then how do you know that it is right thing to do to initiate somebody? Do you
We
trust
ask.
your intuition?
We ask. Yes, that's really respectful. When what gave me the records, being initiated in the records, was the framework to be more intelligent on how the channelings come. For example, and these stories I tell in the initiations previous, but before I channel, yes, I smoked something and I channel from entities from elsewhere, you know, and I remember reading, yes, it's like, you can get into fights, and I was Jesus, Cleopatra, like, you can listen to people like thinking they were Alexander Magnus, you know, like, but when I initiated, I realized that there were many of my bodies that were misguided, for example, in the library, that were disrespectful with the guards, because I already thought I was like so powerful that I would face the guards, chop their head off, and they say, we are immortal. It's like to see how you behave. This is just to see how you behave. It's like, that's the test. Like kind of Anubis when they are being there, when they are measuring the heart, the lightness of the heart. That's what happened in higher planes. So I learned from that the humility, the humbleness and respecting. So one of the codes is correspondence. One of the codes of vulnerability is correspondence. So every time we are doing something, like asking if it corresponds to initiate this person, I have to open records, ask for the name, and if they say yes, we can handle, it's like the match, we do it. That's, like I have learned to do that all the time. It's like, if I don't open records, and it's an important decision, like initiation, Because initiation is like, there's few people that get this. Like, there are many people talking about initiation, that initiating is initiating a new way of being. So it's like, oh, now I am. No. You're initiating a new way of being. And this is purely ontological. It's like, I love that in English you have the being, because it's in gerund, ing. And that's like, in Spanish I have to translate from that. It's like, I am being. I'm not a fixed thing, like ser. In Spanish it's like, clac, you are. And even it's like, I won't try to do the translation right now, but it's really healthy because it's like, I am being gives mobility to who I am, me. If not, we get like the photo that the ego wants to take. Like, clack, there I am. No, yeah, and then I keep moving and I'm still being. So it's like, that's why the initiations is like initiation in a new way of being. So it's like an embedding of certain codes, so you move differently. It's like, it's not about the initiation thing, but let me check about the time. Yes, we have half an hour. That changed me, like the initiation changed me in a sense. Many years ago they told me you have to stop smoking marijuana. You will save the collective mind from thousands of mind chatter. Thousands of years of mind chatter if you stop smoking. Oh, it was like, have you seen The Arrival, the movie The Arrival? Yes? Well, taking notes, Arrival to homework. What's The Arrival? That was an arrival moment when it was like, whoa, that gave me responsibility on the future of humanity. So I stopped smoking for 10 days. But it wasn't strong enough. Like, I still was like kind of possessed for many entities already. So that's why it's like I have to keep strengthening the will force and the alignment. But when I initiated, it was like, that moment, never smoke again. Never drink alcohol again. It went beyond me. It's like.
But it was like your decision, but not. I mean, I'm asking because I don't eat much in the last 2 weeks. It's not that I decided not to eat. I just don't feel like eating. Or was it the same for you?
Yes, it's like it doesn't fit anymore with who you are. It's like, it doesn't fit anymore. It's like, I cannot smoke because if I smoke, at least I have 24 hours of being clear of any things that alters the consciousness. And if I am opening the records of others, I have already experienced for myself what clarity and peace the opening the records brought me, because it like took me out of many chaos and labyrinths of the mind. So I was not able, and like morally, I'm not able to steal the clarity and the peace from others just because I want to smoke. So it's like non-negotiable. I cannot take the other, this peace and clarity. So that's why it's like, maybe today because something like maybe tomorrow there's someone that like usually happens. It's like, I need assistance on this now. Oh no, I smoked yesterday. I cannot be like not able. So that in a sense helped me a lot. And I really don't feel it's like it upgrades the satisfaction terms. I am not feeling on the pleasure of the moment, but of the transcendence and the collective contribution. So it's like, that's why it's initiating a different way of being. Make sense? Well, that's on me. It was a lot of introduction. And clairsentience is another way that I use a lot because I was started with being dancer. So like, where does the body feels moving? That's my secondary way of channeling. It's like, sometimes it's like, have you ever done family constellations? Yes? Well, that your body feels like moving, or feels like crying, or feels like different things that kind of the emotions possess you. Like, possess, I guess, seems like a strong word, but but it's like a suggestion that the body is making. So for example, I get like inches, like what's happening with this person? It's like, oh, starting here, oh, okay. I feel like my head going down. Okay, what happens when my head going down? And they start playing with some scene or some dynamic. Oh, there's like an axe here. Ah, okay, I'm about to be executed. So they take me experientially and they put the body when I go, for example, into a record. That happens like whenever you feel like this is great for the muscle testing. Like this is one way of the muscle testing. Have you heard of it? No? Muscle testing is a simple technique that you connect with the intelligence of your body and you check, like, really easy when, like, do I feel like doing this? Like, I think, like, do I resound fully with this information or not? Like, you can see if your body goes, like, up in front or, like, stays or goes. So it's, like, really simple. It's like, where do I go? You ask, because you establish a communication, because you consider your body as an intelligent being that is really intelligence, because like it's the divine intelligence bonding all yourself, and you are like consciously connecting, plugging with it. So that's useful as an exercise. Like, do I feel like going to this place or not? You can check just like that. Wait for the answer. Receptiveness is essential. Like, now we're going to the states. Like, for that to be able to do it, like set the terms of, okay, now I'm going to take decisions. I'm getting out of the chatter because I acknowledge that I am in a constant chatter and stress. I set apart some time to make good decisions, like willingly connecting with this intuition or this higher intelligence for it to assist me. So that's how you exercise it with muscle testing. For example, if you are more propense or more like, would be propense is a word here? Propense? Yeah. Okay. Like if you have like more tendency to be more clairsentient, you can try muscle testing or investigate a little bit or muscle testing. It helps a lot on it. Yes. Okay so far? Yeah. Useful? Yes. Okay. Now we have this. The main dish. Okay. This is the system, as a part of a system that I compiled for this. It's called the systemic consciousness. Understand, because most of my mentors in spirituality are system engineers. So like 5 of them were like computer engineers. Like, what? And then I thought, like, yes, there's like the consciousness, understanding the system framework helps us a lot, and we're having reality and technology to also help us embed it better. Music, there we are. Perfect. So we were talking at the beginning this of the input, like what comes in. That's why there's like what we put in, input, so information, influence, invited persons, I will say one by one. Information. You remember this thing of the data that is going on around, right? So whenever we choose to let it in, we are already making it informing us. It is giving us form. It's informing. So this is really important. What we are choosing, that because we are about to become. There's a saying like wherever we put our attention, we become that. What we become, what we behold. Oh, I'm getting good at that. I'm getting good. Influence as well, like what is flowing in me. So it's like kind of the same. What I am letting flow in me. What's the influences? Like expanding the spectrum of this would be like, okay, who I am listening to, because I am letting that flow in me. What I am eating, because that flows in me, like the plants. For example, I smoke, or whenever I drink or eat something, that is inflowing. So there's like another entity going in, like moving inside. So it's really important what we let influence us into the formation the framework that we are. And also the invited. Well, the invited is like who we are inviting to our reality. It's like who are who are invited into our lives. So we are letting in. This works on the relationships. Relationships that are there are also shaping the configuration of our extended system. So it's a really important thing of our system dynamics. What we ingest, that is mainly on the food, as information. Yes, it's like what we are. This is in Spanish. There are layers between the data, the information, the knowledge, and the wisdom and experience. There's degrees of how it's processed. The data is all around. In fact, when one expands their consciousness, there's a book that's called Potencia tu Energía in Spanish, by Pam Groot, called Potence Your Energy. And talks about this research of the amount of data, information that is captured by our senses. That is like cut out by the things that we have to cut out because it's like not important. And it would be like an overload because there are like 827 years of information in 3.5 minutes. So have you experienced this thing that is like
too much
it felt like 1 month, like this day it felt like 1 month. We were like brought out gathering information. So like, or 1 hour felt like, oh, it's like, so for example, so far, like it has been like half an hour. We feel like half an hour. So we're like in a different spectrum of openness that lets in the information. So that's a consciousness expansion. We expand how much information and then we contract because we need to select. So when we select, it comes to information, we already let it in. Then knowledge, when we are organizing it, that's more on the second part, like we are putting a cognos, that's know cognos comes from what code we stamp for us to acknowledge it. Then and understand, oh, I understand that because I have it in my my set of codes that I understand. So that's knowledge. And then in Spanish there was like a wisdom is sabiduría. Sabiduría is like it's saber, tasting. We may know it, but we have not tasted it. So with wisdom when we taste it. And then when we taste it many times, like we need like how these guys that make many trials. You have tried many things, then comes experience. So there are many different degrees of how we let information go in. That's why a part that I made many rails in here, but I think they are like really useful. This was useful, these distinctions? Yes. Well, and immersion. Where are we immersing ourselves? Because in Spanish it's environment, like where are we immersing? Because there's a lot of information at disposition, depending where we are. So that's why we, on the planetary activations that we are going to do after this, we immerse ourselves into a sound, a dynamic that give different codes that trigger different things. That we are working on the consciousness and on who we are being from the beginning, like from the initial triggers. So we, like for example, just by being here, you are immersing yourself in this stream of information. So it's like feeding you. Where we are is feeding us. It's like so that being aware of where are we putting ourselves. So far, good input of information. Yes. Process. How are we processing this? We talked about what's relevant, and we can see what's relevant because what are we giving attention to? So we can like go back to consciousness, like, okay, I'm not the narrative that is already in the inertia. I'm not just, because this just appear, and you get like that funnel of attention that passively goes to something else. But here you can like, what's relevant to me? It's like what I was looking. Overall, like, if I'm going to give some asset here, it's like on this, because these things have been like growing, you know? Like, there's a thing this is a video that says Winning Your Mind Back by J.P. Sears. He's a J.P. Sears, do you know J.P. Sears? Yes. Well, he's a coach as well, and I followed the videos that are not funny of him, but he was coaching, and that was really useful. Like, how to win your mind back, he tells like, hunt you be the hunter, not the cattle, like seeing things that happen to you. So whenever you set before grabbing the phone that you are looking for something, you set like the relevance, the priority. It's like, okay, what I am getting from this. So you reestablish a relationship with this that is having like, is really designed to get attention. It's like you have many. No, if you see how many hours you spend on this, it's like that's really important resource. That's the ontological resource. Our time, our attention, our life force is led by our energy, led by our attention. So that is really important to set the rules of what is relevant, because that will lead our attention. And also, yes, this was an analogy for the reticular activating system. You may take a picture of this if you want to remember. Reticular activating system, this Google search, what I am looking for, like, have it clear, like, I wanted to send a message to this person, this and this, and I am booking this place. Like have the phone like there, And don't touch it because it's like really, we have really habits, micro habits already embedded. So it's like I am making a list and then I'm going to it. And then after I can get out of the loop, it's like, what have I accomplished? So there you can see and regain the power of, and the respect this deserves. It's like, I'm kind of catastrophizing, but I don't think it's so much catastrophe. It's like I am overacting it because I want to emphasize the importance of this. The cognition, how we are processing information, these cognitive biases. You can look for them, like cognitive biases. There's an article, or maybe you can contact me, or I can give it to you. 118 cognitive biases that are running or detected on us. They are really useful, at least to watch them, to see them, because, for example, there are things that we struggle so much, and that happens a lot in the readings. It's like, oh, but I have been with my husband or my boyfriend for 3-5 years, and it's like one of the biases that is really hard to detect is the sunken cost. In English, it's like the sunk cost hundido. It's a term of accountants that says, oh, I invested this much in this, that's why it's hard for me to let go of it. Because I am, for the ego it means, oh, then I am stupid. So it doesn't want to be stupid. And also it will escape, it will try to prove that it has to keep going. Because if not, it has made a mistake. Those are little things that work inside of us. Like, we are escaping from them. And this I learned from the art of war. Like, the main lesson I learned from the art of war is that the worst enemy is that we cannot see. So it is running in there, things that we cannot see. So if we can see them, they have less power over us. Cognitive biases, ego filters as well, like these patterns. They are part of the ego filters. When you haven't designed your ego, your personality at will, like it's kind of hard, like because society have already imprinted things on us, we have to recraft it. So we have to start getting out of patterns of belief, these patterns of belief that triggers behaviors, and those behaviors takes us to the situations in life and repetitive decisions. So we can deactivate all of those just by checking who we are being, and setting a course. So there, when we say like, oh, I'm going there, and then before, oh, there was this stone. Okay, I will move that way, and you like keep working on yourself like a garden would be like the beautiful phrases or analogies I like. Memory and emotion. What is being relevant to me and that I can process. It's really linked with the meaning creating machine. That's another biopsychology device. We are already with the codes, we are already linking them, so we are creating meaning between them, right? Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Create the meaning of what I'm saying right now, process it, and what makes it memorable, as well lately coming out, is like the emotion is the glue of memory. If we don't feel emotions while we are experiencing things, we don't remember them. So it's not only important that it's wise to think, it's important that it generates emotion. That's why, for example, education is not working. Because what's the main feelings in the school? You're bored or you're confused, right? So it's like you don't remember any of that because it's not even relevant as well. So you filter out, thankfully, before it comes in. But it makes us dull, and that's why it makes us forgetful. And that's why it makes us passive, because we don't know who we are, because we are forgetting. So, like performing arts, like we are alive, like we have to be like the most even performatic educators. It's like that's what's memorable. Like that's kind of what I'm training. Like have I been entertaining so far? And also engaging the information, because this I never heard this like all together like this. It's like I feel like this is like really a good pleasure to share with you. And the meaning creative machine is just how we think, how we are linking things. So check if we are there's like whenever they get a reading something, that means that my boyfriend, and they're like have a fixation on relating everything with this guy. This means like a dog was kissing, that means like should I kiss my boyfriend? Like, you know, like those kind of things happen inside the head. Like, you know, it happened to you, any of those? That's like really good to be aware of it. It's like what meanings we are creating, that starts with how we behave and the reality we are living in. So, the output being assertive, like attaining for assertiveness. We already have created an inner reality, an inner connection of how reality is set. So that in the Greek is really interesting. Let me see if we have 3 minutes, okay. The Greeks had many terms of truth, many distinctions for truth. We don't, like, we are looking for the truth, and we don't have the discernments of kinds, at least, or qualities of truth. So science says it's like become a new dogma, a new God, because we don't have discernments of qualities and types of truth. They had like these few distinctions. There's like saying, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free, right? Have you heard of that? Yeah. That's really badly translated from the Greek. It's like, you will know the aletheia, and the emunah will set you free. Yes, they are both truth, but you will know the aletheia is the truth of the ego, and the emunah is the truth you emanate. So there are different kind of truths. So matching those will set you free. It's like knowing what we have created inside the truth of our ego, in the inner framework, matching the truth you emanate. So that sets you free, not what you think that is truth. That makes you crash and fight with other things. And here we are, because of bad translation. Tower failed. Well, I'm passionate about this. That's clear that distinction is useful. Okay, so assertiveness is matching. Okay, I have a reality. I have this framework, and I'm trying to match it with the framework you have, and we are emanating, because there not only what I think is, there's also a dissociation with I am emanating. I'm happy. You think you're happy, but you're not emanating your happiness. You know, there are like dissociations in between the self-truths. So whenever we go to check with the other, that is the other kind of truth, the veritas, that's more known in the Roman legislations, looking for veritas, is the truth that entangles us all. So this goes assertiveness. This goes more accurate on what we are doing with the records. It's like, okay, what are the convergences, the cross-matching between truths, and we are checking on them to make like a more solid reality more solid truth. So that is assertiveness. Have you heard? Have you heard? What have you heard? Like, tell me. Like, that checking with the reality of the other that is not happening. It's like everybody goes with the aletheia, and then they go and crush it with another, and there's like no permeation because of the lack of assertiveness. So this is important on the output. The effect that has on the other. I do this in the coaches. I say like, I am the environment of the other. Mm-hmm. Remember that I am the environment of the other. Yes, let's quote me on that, please. Like, we are a reference of the reality of the other. The other is building a reality, so I am a reference of their reality. So I am kind of giving a feedback on how reality is for the other. So that's really important, like being a reference and a reflection. Because if there's like, if I am here, it's because we have some, there's like this saying, if you can see it in me, it's because it's in you. Yes, we are a reflection because we have thoughts that match, but also I am a reference that permits the evolution. It's not like just all the time mirroring, it will be eternal. It's like, okay, I am leading. So it's like, if you, for example, when someone comes, whenever you remind of not being like this, and you say, okay, someone is watching me, so I will just be like that because they all came like this and have lack of self-awareness, so they don't believe that they are giving the reality that everybody has to be like this and this is normal. That became normal because everybody had self-awareness on what they were educating on the others. So whenever we're talking, it's like also acknowledging that checking your phone triggers many devices of the dopamine reward system that they have, like, and what's happening on my phone? So everybody goes on their phone just because you check your phone. They're triggers. So checking that we are educating the environment is really important, the effects. Because that's reality building. We are rebuilding the veritas. Like working on our piece of reality helps the other have better qualities of truth for having more resources to build their realities. Make sense?
Yeah.
Self-awareness. I embedded it in this, like having self-awareness because we are educating on others to be self-aware. Like, this guy's like, suddenly he remembered to breathe. I will remember to read as well. We forget to read. And whenever we can just do that, and we are like bringing them to their axis. Just like having a good posture, a smile, face awareness. Like, what are we expressing with our face? This is really instinctual. Like, babies watch at the face of the mother, like, how's reality? Like, what's going on? And I may not understand, so that's why I'm watching at your face. I want to know if you are scared or whatever. So, how you have your face awareness is huge for the reality of the other. Because they are like building reality. Is everything okay or not? It's like they're checking. Like this can be a kind of perverse, but you can check like do like that, and they like look at your face and they react. That's perverse, but you will see the influence that you have, like you do like that's what has just happened. It's like you trigger like really primal instincts. So that self-awareness and presence. Well, that's the system consciousness, and it looks back into this. It's like this is effect of then what is available as an input. It's like a system that we are in control. there are many things that may come in, but they come into here. It's like we can put ourselves in places that take us to a better place, more willingly, more purposefully. So that's what I wanted to share, this framework to be more aware of what is coming and to be more intelligent to process. You didn't feel intelligent not saying the word intelligence properly. This is like what is essential for all the intuitive workers. Like knowing these things are working on everyone. So if we are more aware of this, we will improve our connection, our service, our way of operating in this world. It's like we are going to save us from a lot of suffering, from being in these loops. There's also this movie, Samadhi, that I worked on that is really useful to understanding how the inertia of the ego gets us into suffering. And so Samadhi can be watched on YouTube. Samadhi with the H. Yes, it's in Sanskrit the word. I worked in the Spanish one, I tried to memorize the Spanish one. It's great. Okay, I will cut the filming for the people that will watch it in the other times spaces. Thank you for watching.